All right, we're going to bring in Kevin Byard, who is like the dude, like the safety in the NFL. You know him from, you guys have like kids, same school?
Kids the same school. We were teammates for 2 years, 2006.
That's probably what I should have led with.
That's probably where it started with. Yeah, we're teammates first. But we do have kids at the same school now.
He's like, dude, he's like that dude. And I think for a second, people thought maybe he wasn't that dude. And then he just reminded everybody he's that dude again.
Right. I feel like he is one of those underrated safeties. But you talk about a dude that, as accomplished as he is, when you look at his stats, I mean, all pro, Pro Bowler, perennial. And then you talk about lead the league as a safety, 2 different seasons in your NFL career. That's incredible. And one obviously being last year with Chicago. But you'll soon find out why everybody has such great regard for him and respect for him, because of the type of person he is, the leader he is. But then he goes out there on game day and just balls.
Like if Caleb Downs is this kind of guy, you draft him in the top 10 picks.
Right, 100%.
Because right now, that's what the question, like, is a safety worthy of drafting someone in the top 7, 8, 9, 10 picks? Like, that's the debate now. It's not that he's not good, but it's the position. But if you can get a Kevin Byard now, like, you draft it, because Kevin's awesome.
Kevin's awesome. And to think that he was drafted in the 3rd round, but never even went to, like, the combine or anything like that, and then to have the career that he's, I mean, think about it. In his 2nd year, he led the league. 2nd year in the NFL, he led the league in interceptions. That's a rare accomplishment for safety.
We mentioned a lot of this, but just so it's clear, drafted 3rd round, 3-time first-team All-Pro. He's led the NFL interceptions twice. He's never missed a game in his NFL career, which we get to that stat coming up in a minute, but he's never missed. It's freaking Cal Ripken.
Seriously, who doesn't miss a game at safety? I mean, you're constantly getting contact. You're the last line of defense. You're taking on tight ends. You're blitzing. You have to tackle people like Derrick Henry.
You're a DB and a linebacker.
DB and a linebacker. And you also somehow, some way, find a way to get your hands on the ball consistently.
Now, here he is. We'll hit theme song, and then we'll talk to the great Kevin Byard.
Yeah, we got lots to say.
Again, we benefit from Castle's relationships at his school, which is great.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. So you want to introduce our guest?
Oh, yes. I would love to introduce our next guest. He is a 3-time All-Pro safety, 3-time Pro Bowl safety, led the league in interceptions last year. He is a friend of mine, an incredible person, an incredible player, and the newest member of the New England Patriots, Kevin Byard, everybody. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction.
No,
that was awesome.
So you and Castle go back how far?
So my rookie year. Was that your last year in Tennessee?
No, I was 2016-17. I was probably not as memorable 2017. You probably didn't remember it because I didn't play much. But yeah, his rookie year was my first year in Tennessee.
Yeah,
so we were teammates for 2 years.
If you're a rookie and you come in, you got a guy who's obviously a veteran. Do you talk to and he's not your position. He's not on your side of the ball.
Right.
Like, do you have a relationship with those guys at all?
Outside of, because obviously Marcus was a quarterback there as well. Obviously, because I was kind of a part-time starter in beginning of my rookie year. Obviously, Castle was slinging dimes for the scout team, practice squad, whatever it may be. Obviously, wasn't practice squad, but for me, I was still young, and I kind of was just looking at Castle like, yeah, I remember Castle. Was playing for the Patriots and obviously went to Kansas City and played for different teams. So I was almost kind of looking up to him, so I was kind of nervous. And then you'll kind of see him around the facility with his family. He had his 4 children, his wife and stuff like that. So it was like, and I was still like a young knucklehead a little bit. Obviously, I had a girlfriend, but we did have a relationship, but still it was kind of like that separation from like the younger guys. You got the vets are married, have children. You want to get like that. And so if I did have conversation, it was probably asking him something about his life or something like that. So yeah, we did have a relationship.
I do remember that he put a dent in our relationship early on because he's on the defensive side of the ball. And so we're running through 7-on-7. If you throw 1 interception in 7-7, it's usually a bad day. Kevin, in one period during this particular training camp practice, picked me off 3 times. And I was like, oh my God, this rookie just jumped in front of 3 balls. Do you remember that day?
I don't remember that day.
I've got Marcus Mariota. Well, yeah, you probably had bigger fish to fry, down the road in real games. But I mean, I just want to build your confidence. But you hurt my confidence that day. And I've got Marcus Mariota, Alex Tanney in the background, and they're giggling because they're just like, what just happened? And I was like, I know. I have no idea. And that was one of my first times I'm sitting there going, okay, this guy's going to be
That rookie year flies by. It's so many different memories, so many different points. It's funny. I actually don't remember that practice. 3
Good,
receptions.
good.
Wow.
No, I didn't throw you any.
You probably shouldn't even brought that up because I didn't remember it.
That was the start of your destiny.
Yeah, there you go.
Whenever you come in as a rookie, does the season seem so long because it's so many more games?
Yes. And the reason being is because, like, when you're underclassmen, you're about to declare for the draft, or you're a senior. I had a bowl game. I think my bowl game was like late December or something like that. You probably get maybe a week or two off. Your agent, you sign with an agent, and you're immediately getting shipped off to pre-draft training. So I'm basically going from January training, then you got, your pro days, combines, and visits. Then you literally sign or drafted. I was drafted in May. You're basically going from January to January, all football, all gas, no breaks. So that rookie year is like, and I tell all the guys, it's like, everybody talk about the rookie wall. And when you're playing and starting, it's not as bad as some guys that may not be maybe just relegated to special teams, whatever it may be. It's a real thing. So by the time you get to like October, November, and most guys in college football, you're 12, 13 games. You get to like week 13, you're like, there's no way we're still playing football.
Exactly.
And then for like, if you become a vet, like that's really when the season's just starting. So yeah, it gets long as a rookie for sure.
Talk about that journey that you had. You went to Middle Tennessee State.
Mm-hmm.
You obviously were a standout there. You're in their Hall of Fame, but you were not invited to the Combine. So talk about that mentality of not being invited to the Combine. Did you just do your pro day? Did you have the workout at the Titans?
Yeah.
How did it all work, and how did you come on their radar?
It was a crazy thing. So I had got invited to the Reese Senior Bowl out of college. I obviously had a decorated college career. And I'm just knowing, like, you have on anticipation, like, okay, you get the Reese Senior Bowl votes, like, the Combine's coming. But at the time, like, I ain't got the invite yet, so I'm thinking, like, eventually it's gonna show up. Go down to the Reese Senior Bowl, have a good time, and obviously balled out. And I remember, we're having conversations in the locker room, and guys like, yeah, man, I'm gonna see you later. I'm gonna see you at the Combine. And I'm just thinking in my head, like, I still don't have an invite. What is going on? And so I'm super. I was upset. I'm not even gonna lie. I was literally about to fire my agent and all type of stuff because I'm thinking it was his fault. Like he's the reason why I didn't get an invite. So no, I didn't get an invite. I just kept training, and then I did the pro day at Middle, and I had a really good pro day. It's funny, I had the Titans was there. They had a coach, the Lions, a couple other teams, and I remember we did after the pro day, did like a little interview and we was kind of get on the board and stuff, and it was like, yeah, write your favorite defense, just write it down. And I wrote like all 11 guys on the defense, the D lineman, the stunt. I was blitzing here, and it was like, oh, the meeting's done, we're good to go. And so I ended up taking like 12 or 13 visits within like a 2-week period before the draft, which was crazy. And you go on these visits because they wanted to get the physicals. I didn't do the Indianapolis Combine stuff. And they're whining and dying. Well, not whining, but steaks, you're eating all, eating. They was like, yeah, order whatever you want because it's all free. It's on the team's budget. So probably a week or two before the draft, I'm on my last visit in Miami. And I never forget, I was, I'm sitting in the lounge waiting to meet with a coach or whatever. And my agent called me. He's like, hey, Tennessee wants to work you out. And I'm just like, listen, bro, I've been on the road for about the last 2 weeks. I've been eating steak. Like, I'm really not in the mood. Like, I don't think I should. I really don't want to do it. If they haven't seen the pro day or the film, like, I think, it's over with. And he was like, I basically told him to cancel the meeting. And he was like, okay, I'll talk to him and tell him. And so I remember he called me back probably like 20 minutes later. He said, hey, so I told him what you said, but the general manager, John Roberts, was going to be there. Dick LeBeau, who was the defensive coordinator there, was going to be there. Deshae Townsend, the DB coach. The head coach, Mike Mularkey, is going to be there. I think you should do this workout. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I was like, all right, well, please don't tell him, don't kill me. You know what I mean? We'll get on the film and just do a little bit of drills. And they worked me out for like an hour and a half. It was crazy. But it was a blessing because I think that workout was the reason why I got drafted to the Titans. And it was it was one of those deals where, like I said, I really didn't want to do it, but, it all worked out for the best.
It's crazy that you didn't get an invite, then you were drafted in the 3rd round because, that's a very valuable round.
Yeah.
First, second, third, fourth round, like those are like the upper tier rounds.
Absolutely.
Like you can't get an invite, but then you still get drafted in the 3rd round. Like I've not heard that juxtaposition of, no, we don't think you're good enough to come to this, but we're still going to draft you so high.
Right.
And do you think a bit of that is because the Titans were close? They were able to come to your pro day and then ask you to work out. Do you think proximity had anything to do with them discovering that you were actually legit?
Honestly, I'm not even sure. I really don't. Remember talking to John. John said that he had been doing research on me since like my sophomore, junior year, talking to people on campus. But I have no clue. Like, I've gotten to this point in my life where like when stuff like that I don't, like even talking to you or Matt, like you don't really have an explanation for it. I just point to God. It's just all God, in my opinion, because it's like, I have no clue why I didn't get invited to the combine. Like I had the most interceptions in college. I had like 19 interceptions. It was like a record at the time. You know, I had great stats. So, like, you know, it's still, honestly, still to this day, I don't have an answer.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I'm shocked.
I didn't get an answer.
Yeah, I'm shocked
The
that
NFL's never told me anything why I didn't get invited. I had no clue.
It's such a weird thing to be drafted so high.
Right.
But also, so I have a conspiracy theory that a team like the Titans kept you out because they knew what they had.
Kept a secret, don't invite
and seriously.
Might have been.
Because they will do that. They'll talk players up and down, right? Agents do that all the time.
Right.
But imagine, conspiracy mind here, the Titans kept you out because they knew what they had. And if they could keep other people from seeing you, they could get you high.
That's a great theory. And I also had the theory of, so, you know, a lot of times for the combine, some guys, you'll see some guys at the combine and you look at their college stats and they're really not that good. So sometimes they invite these guys to the combine just because they want to get around them. And I was thinking, well, they already knew I was good. So they say, hey, you can just sit out. We'll get some of these other guys that maybe not be very well known. So I don't know. I've been trying to piece this together for the longest. And eventually I just kind of let it go. I've been over my career, even in high school, I've been very like under the radar, I feel like not really rated where I probably should be.
What was your star rating?
I was a 2-star prospect.
You got to be kidding me.
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
Yeah. And I was like an all-state.
Titans did that too. The Titans kept you at a 2-star.
They were on it early. They're like, hey, keep this kid under wraps because he keeps progressing.
I had like a scholarship offer from University of Kentucky. They pulled it for a guy that was like committed to Alabama and he decommitted. It was like I've had a bunch of different phases, so I just, you know, that's just my story.
You played all the positions though in high school. Did you play like quarterback and wide receiver? Did you do everything?
That's true. I literally played everything. My senior year, I was playing like Iron Man football. I literally started on offense and then went straight. I literally didn't get a break. I don't think I did like field goal block or something like that. But I think
that was your break.
You thought about it. They thought about putting you on special teams. When you first got to Tennessee Titans, you mentioned Dick LeBeau, legendary coach, Hall of Famer, just an incredible person, but one of the best defensive minds to ever coach our game. Talk to me about the influence he had on you as a young player.
Big influence. So growing up, I didn't really get into NFL football probably until maybe 13, 14 years old. It was just kind of, you know, you go in the neighborhood, play football. Everybody wanted to be Mike Vick, especially in my neighborhood. But really just getting into the sport. My whole family, obviously I grew up in Philadelphia, all Eagles fans. I went in completely against the grain. I was a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. So I grew up on like Troy Polamalu, Dick LeBeau, those legendary Pittsburgh's defenses. And so obviously I knew all about Dick LeBeau. I had no clue Dick LeBeau was the defensive coordinator in Tennessee until like I did that workout and stuff like that. So I'm starstruck in this meeting, like seeing Dick LeBeau right there and we're talking about defenses and all his fire zone blitz and stuff. I'm just completely blown away. Dick LeBeau, and I really wish that I had him longer in my career. I only had him my first 2 years. He's a true legend. And most people don't know this, but I'm pretty sure people that play for him, Dick LeBeau is the only coach that doesn't use a play call sheet. I don't know if you know this or not. So Dick LeBeau, we'd be in the games, and he would legit be staring. You get a feel for things. And we had a linebacker coach. He would literally whisper to the linebacker coach what play to give the linebacker. You know, most coaches you see in games, Andy Reid has this big clipboard, different pages and stuff like that. Dick LeBeau had nothing that was on his head. He memorized every defense that he's probably ever done all in his head, and he would just call it like live. It was the most amazing thing ever. Like, he's a legend. He used to have these stories in our meetings about, you know, most people know this, but Dick LeBeau is a defensive coordinator. He's a Hall of Fame defensive coordinator, but he's also a Hall of Fame player. He played cornerback in Detroit in all those days, and he would talk about his Motown days. He got some stories. He got some stories about being back in Motown. So, no, he's a legend, man. One of my favorite coaches. He said he's hit like 9 hole-in-ones. I honestly,
that's like Kim Jong-il type stuff. 9 hole-in-ones.
Listen, he's legit.
He loves golf.
He can play the guitar. He's a good musician.
How about his night before Christmas, which is legendary?
Oh, yes.
What was that? Tell me. I don't know that.
So it's a legendary thing that goes around from the guys back in Pittsburgh, and then when he came to Tennessee, he used to, for his grandmother who raised him, and I think, was it his mom as well?
Or I'm not 100% sure.
All the women and family that were around Christmas time, he did his own version of The Night Before Christmas. That was his gift to them. And he memorized it and adds his own flair. And then he tells The Night Before Christmas. And he did it for us. I think we were in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
And you've heard about this legend for a long time.
He tells a story like that.
Yeah, it was the,
he knows
it
the
was
whole
the
story.
night before Christmas.
it was.
Does he have a photographic memory?
He must have.
Because it feels like between that and knowing all
He
the
has a
play
brilliant
calls.
mind.
He's incredible. I truly it was just like this running joke on the team, especially on the defense, that Dick LeBeau literally left the facility like on some Batman stuff. And he would just be saving the night. Like he was like a superhero at nighttime or something. Like, no, for real, he
He's
was legit.
vigilante LeBeau out.
Like he would
mask
before
on.
practices, like every morning, like he would jog around the facility, like jog around the practice field. He would do push-ups. I mean, at this time, he's like in his 70s.
70s. And then as soon as he's done with the football field, he's going to go try to get 9 holes in.
For real.
Play. Like was him. And his storytelling, the capacity for him to remember stories,
That's what I'm
to
saying.
convey those stories in such a riveting way. As players, we're sitting there just amazed.
You're
just
at
going,
all.
Oh,
He's
just
incredible.
tell us more. It
Even
was
as
so
young
cool.
men, even as 23, 24-year-old young men, they're still a 70-year-old and you're still in. Like
It's a legend. Like you said, it's like stuff of legends. Like when he walk around, he just has this certain presence. And like you said, I was 23 at the time. And like I said, we'd be in the middle of defensive meetings and we'll be talking about a certain play call. He's like, I just remember this story. And he would literally forget about we legit forget about football. He'd just tell his whole meeting whole story about being back in the 60s or 70s. And then we'll get back to football. But he was a legend, one of the best coaches.
Is that a guy you liked playing for as a guy? Like you would go hard for him?
Oh, absolutely. Because I think he was so relational too. Like he was, I think he really truly cared about the players. Because like I said, obviously this guy invented fire zones. He invented like certain defenses.
And
like,
it was the worst to go up against.
he was the truth when it comes to like setting up blitzes, getting guys free. So the football stuff was easy, but I just think just like him as a person and just the kind of like wisdom and knowledge that he had is a guy that you truly want to play for. I mean, the guy didn't have a play call sheet. I mean, it's incredible. Like he was an awesome guy.
I have a niece and she's about to go to college and I tell her, hey, don't go to college near where you live right now because you want a whole new like list of experiences.
Right.
Now, obviously, you didn't go to college near where you came from. You came from Philadelphia. But did you want to go play pro ball right next door to where you play college ball?
I don't know if that's necessarily what I wanted to do.
It's a nicer neighborhood here.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I joked that I could have kept my college apartment from Murfreesboro and just drove back and forth. It was
thought
cheap.
about it, too.
It was like $500, bro. It was like I definitely could have did that. But I don't know. I think it was. Like I said, I would say it's a blessing. I think it was absolutely cool because, especially being from a smaller school, I think my internal fan base that I had built in college just transferred right to Nashville. So I think it almost made me like a household name before I really even did anything. I think that was awesome. But I will say, I definitely liked being in Nashville over probably like a Miami or like any of these super bigger cities. Because obviously when I got drafted, I had been with my high school sweetheart. She moved in town with me, and I just felt like it was when I got drafted in Nashville, like we had a great core of guys. Like say Mac was married. We had like Brian the Rackpo, Jarrell. We had a bunch of older vets that was doing it the right way, showing us the right way. And I think that's really a reason why we were so successful. Because I feel like we were just all focused on ball. Guys were about family. We wasn't like, hey, Friday night, let's go out to the club and stay out till 2 a.m. and then Saturday walk through drunk. You know what I mean? It was really like a family culture vibe. And I think for me as a person, just my maturation, I think that was the best situation for me. I think it all worked out perfectly.
I mean, you led the league in interceptions that second year, which was amazing to think how quickly you came to the top of your position group.
Yeah.
But then Mike Vrabel comes in, and you obviously are going to be playing for Mike again. Talk to me about what he brings to the table for as a coach, as a teacher, and what inspired you to go to the New England Patriots.
And I remember, obviously, Vrabel was in Houston at the time, defensive coordinator. And when they hired him, I was immediately, obviously, like I was a fan of Vrabel, you know, growing up, seeing him in New England, balling out Pro Bowls, Super Bowls, and things like that. So I'm thinking, okay, we got a proven guy, you know what I mean? So I didn't really think too much of it, though. I'm not like, okay, we'll see how it goes. Because Mike Mularkey, I think he was more laid back. The staff, we had obviously LeBeau, we had a fairly older staff, you know what I mean? So things were kind of laid back. And I never forget this. Our first meeting, our first day of like practice, OTAs or whatever, we're kind of doing like jog through, run the ball, Derrick Henry up the left side. And the first play, Vrabel ripped Taylor to one. it was like I said, normal jog through. And I think at the time, like Taylor Lewan, like we didn't notice, but we kind of anticipated. But I was trying to get a new contract. It was the year he got his new contract. And I think he purposely just ripped into him to let everybody know, like, I don't care who you are, because Taylor Lewan was one of the best left tackles in the league, if not the best at the time. Just ripped him. And I'm just like, whoa, everybody kind of just sat up in the meetings like, so this is how it's going to be? You know what I mean? So, but no, Vrabel is obviously having the success that I've had with him over the years. He's one of the best coaches, if not, I mean, he's actually the best coach I've ever had. Reason being just how detailed he is, how intentional he is, but then also like how much relational he is with the players. I mean, man, obviously you know Vrabel, like, and he's like a player's coach. Like, he's a guy. He doesn't feel like he's above you or nothing like that. Like, he literally gets to know your family. When you see him in the hallway, he's gonna ask you how you're doing. But he's not just gonna be like, hey, how you doing? Just keep moving. Like, he's gonna ask you how you doing, how's your family, how's your children, He's definitely one of the best coaches, and he has a big influence on me. I became a lot smarter player just by being around him. Now, obviously, you could just be in his meetings, like, and he had a joke about this too. I know he's going to say this when we get to New England, that I can basically run the meetings how he was going to run. Like, it's like, can't be what I'm going to say. And no, he's a phenomenal guy, phenomenal coach.
That feels like a rare dynamic of, because you describe him as a player's coach, but as hardcore as he is at the same time. Because you hear about coaches that aren't players' coaches, and they are on you.
Oh, yeah.
And then players' coaches, for the most part, are like, one of the dudes. It feels like Vrabel has the best qualities of both.
Yeah.
That as a player's coach, because he relates, he played, he also cares.
Exactly.
But he'll also like snatch a knot in you.
For sure. I mean, I think because he was, they said he was like this in New England. You know what I mean? Like, he would talk shit, do all this stuff. Like, he was one of those guys. So he's going to be the same way as a coach. You know what I mean? Like, he's going to be the loudest voice at practice. He's going to be talking shit all day, but he's going to get in the drills with you. He's not just going to tell you what to do. Hey, he's going to, everybody's seen the pro day stuff, putting the pads on and stuff like that. He's incredible. He's an incredible teacher. But like you said, I think he's going to be very intense during practice, but then off the field, like you said, he understands what a player, his psyche, you know what I mean? He understands that guys want to take care of their family. He understands that guys want to go to Pro Bowls and things like that. He understands that, some of the guys are just trying to make the team. So he just understands everybody's situation because he's been in it. You know what I mean? So I think that gives you an automatic level of like certain credibility because you've been through this. You've sat in the seats that I've sat at. So you're easily able to buy into what he's selling because, like I said, he's been there.
And I think he coaches with intentionality, right? Because there's coaches that are hard asses that get after you and rip you, but don't really coach, and you can take constructive criticism, but just straight criticism, attack a kid's character or a player's character, get after him. But when you do it with a purpose, because you're showing them, hey, I got after you because I need you to do this, X, Y, and Z, now it makes sense to us as players and we can grasp that and want to play for somebody like that. Right. Whereas if you just are dogging me out for no reason and you constantly are grinding on me, then it becomes this conflict. And it usually doesn't work out really well.
Not at all. I think you hit the nail on the head. I don't know if I said that right, but
you nailed it.
You nailed it.
You nailed it. With the nail on the head.
No, 100%.
You got them both at the same time.
No, but I think as a coach, and I think the best coaches are like this. The best coaches connect with the players first. I think because especially you can say this generation, whatever generation, a player, if I know that you care about me as a person, then now you're able to kind of motivate me or inspire me or get on me in a certain way that if you're just all transactional, you know what I mean? You're just going to be ripping me. It's like, this guy don't care about me. He don't even know anything about my family. Like, man, forget him. I'm going to do it my way. Versus if a coach really knows and kind of understands the player, like, man, this guy may have some stuff going on at home or, obviously he's motivated. He wants to be this type of player. If I can get to know you, let's say, for example, Matt Castle's trying to be a Pro Bowl, Hall of Fame quarterback. He's trying to be this. When I can push him to that level now. But if you don't really get to know a player, understand what makes him tick or how he goes, then you don't really know him. You could just be ripped into a guy. Some guys don't respond well to that. You know what I mean? So I think that's one thing that he does a great job of.
When you're making your decision on where to play next, we can even talk about the Patriots. How important is the head coach?
It's huge. I think for me, and I say every guy is in a different phase in their career. When you're younger, you're probably just highest bidder. I'm going to the highest bidder. Right. Trying to get paid. For me, especially in this stage of my career, I'm going to year 11, which still sounds crazy to say.
You're the old buck now.
Yeah, I know. I've been Unk OG for like the last 3 years, which is crazy.
It happens overnight too.
It happens fast, bro. No, it's for me. I wanted to go to a contender first and foremost, and I've kept in contact with RedZone over the years. Ever since I left Tennessee, we've had a great relationship. So honestly, once I kind of understood that, hey, Chicago, it might not work out. Honestly, it was really 2 teams. It was Chicago and New England. And obviously, I didn't know that. I'm not just sitting here and say, like, I already had RedZone on the other line or something like that. It was legit, like...
You kind of did.
Yeah.
Or your agent did.
Slick. Obviously, I had his contact on my phone. But, no, I've been telling myself throughout the whole season, obviously, I wasn't telling a lot of people, I'm like, if it doesn't work out in Chicago, I would take less to go to New England just based on a relationship I got with RedZone. Obviously... I knew he's a hell of a ball coach. And I was telling guys like this before the season in Chicago, like, y'all watch New England. And I'm not going to sit here and say they're going to go over to the Super Bowl, but he's going to turn it around quick, fast, in a hurry because I know what kind of coach he is. So that was kind of like already in my mind, like, if it's not Chicago, I want to go play for RedZone again.
Talk about that season that you had last year with Chicago. What an incredible turnaround you guys had.
Yeah.
And being a part of that, obviously, new coaching staff. You've got a lot of young talent on that team. Right. But your leadership role really on that team, because it was pivotal and it showed through in big games throughout the course of the year. But talk about that season that you had, because it was remarkable.
Bro, it was so fun. And I've said this before, but this is probably one of the most funnest seasons I've ever had playing football. Reason being, playing in Tennessee, we had so much fun. We had so much camaraderie. We had so many great seasons. But Tennessee, I want to say the Titans is probably out of 32 teams, the 29th or 28th smallest market in the NFL. Chicago is like number 3. So this was my first time really playing and like having success in a big market. I mean, I can brag about it a little bit, but it was pretty crazy. I was top 5 in Pro Bowl votes this year. Like overall players, like it was like Caleb Williams, Pat Mahomes, Josh Allen, myself, and like Travis Kelce. Like, come on now. Like, I'm a great player, but like to be up there with those certain names was like, that lets you know like how much Chicago comes out for their fans and stuff like that. So it was so much fun. Because the previous year, 2024, we didn't have a great year. We went 5-12. We had a lot of games we were in, but it's like, how in NFL, it all comes down to like the last drive, and we lost so many one-score games because of those things. And it was just like, we lost 10 straight games. I've never lost 10 games straight in my life. I don't think I lost more than 10 games, but that was a crazy year. And so the next year, Caleb's second year, they bring in Ben Johnson. We have the hardest training camp I've ever had in year 10, which was insane. But to see that turn, we started year 0-2. And then we rip off like 7 straight wins or something like that. We had so much fun. It was the guys, it was the camaraderie, but just the success that we was having on defense. We're getting picks, turnovers, all that good stuff. But then the way the city just like, it's always behind the team. And they had been telling me this when I first got there, like, listen, if you win here in Chicago, you're like, you don't have to pay for a meal ever again in this city. I mean, they still talk about 85 Bears up there. Like, they're literally legends. Like, they don't have to pay for anything. So it was just a fun time to be in a big city and to win like that and, go to the playoffs. And it was fun. I mean, like, outside of 2021, the year we was number 1 seed here in Tennessee, that was the most fun I've had playing football. It was awesome.
Man, it's always cold, though, for you. Like, why are you playing in cold places?
It's cold.
Like, that does not sound appealing.
It's not. I'm gonna keep it real. Like, it was brutal this year. We played a game at home against Cleveland, and I think the temperature before that game was probably like, it was somewhere around 0. I don't know if it was like -1 degrees. It was around that number, but the wind chill was like -11. And no BS. Like, I remember, because the hotel we stayed at, we had like, you got to valet your car or whatever. But I don't know why, they got our keys outside, like the little valet deal. My key was frozen. I couldn't open, like, it took me like 30 minutes of standing there trying to open it, and I'm freezing. I'm trying to open my car, but my car key was frozen. It was so cold.
Are you a no-sleeve guy in cold weather?
I am.
Oh, see, I don't understand it. They make all this technology now.
But see, I think it's worse when you wear sleeves, because now you start to sweat, now your shirt is wet, and now it's...
I'm doubling up.
But I guess you played high school ball in cold.
Too. I think it's a little different. You're not running around as mobile as we are.
I would wear a wetsuit underneath the long sleeve just because
So that's what I do. I do the wetsuit.
The wetsuit helps.
Yeah, I do the wetsuit.
Yeah.
Here's the difference in you two, though. Well, aside from athletic ability and good looks,
True statement.
is that you played high school ball and grew up in Southern California.
True.
Warm. you actually played in Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess a little bit your blood. I'm not saying anybody's blood's good for Chicago, but I'm saying like you played in cold. It's not to you. It's not foreign.
Yeah, but I also say this too. Like even if you lived in, let's say you lived in Alaska your whole life or something, then you moved to Florida for 2-3 years, that's gone. Like the whole Alaska deal is gone. Like you've gotten completely adapted to the warm weather. It's so funny because we try to talk about different teams, like how the weather's on the field. Like guys in Florida and California hate cold weather games. They hate being in the cold. Chicago is one of the coldest cities I've ever played in. Obviously, Kansas City is freezing too. I know you played in Kansas City. It's super cold.
But the wind in Chicago too, it's nonstop.
That's coming off Lake Michigan.
Oh, that's the biggest difference. And
even in April, like I'll go to Cubs games, it would cut me.
Yeah.
And
when I got back there in April last year for like the start of all-season program, it was snowing the first day. I'm like, what is going on here?
And it never leaves the ground.
And I will say that Chicago is probably the best summer city in the country, one of the best, because of the fact that it could be 85, 90 degrees, but that breeze constantly feels so good. So like I said, I think, but the summer season is like 2 months, 2.5 months. It's so small. But that wind is serious because the wind blows every day, all day, no matter where you at. It's crazy.
How'd you like the Bears uniform on you the first time? That's a pretty sweet uniform.
It is cool.
And it's legendary.
Yeah, that's
too.
what I'm
It's
saying.
one of the
Yeah.
classic emblems.
Now, you almost wish they had a little more variety because they're very like old school. Like our equipment manager, T-Mad, is my guy. They don't let you swag out anything.
Nothing?
It's white pants, blue jerseys. You better have the stripes. Guys try to get around some of that stuff with like the socks. Those stripes better be showing. And then like they had like, I think they got like a couple throwbacks, but that's really it. And then away games is blue pants, white jerseys, stripes.
Have you put on the Patriots uniform yet fully?
I have not.
That's
I'm
another
looking forward to
classic.
that. Yeah.
I put on
Their jerseys
Castles.
are sweet.
Yeah, I wear Castles every Thursday. He lets
And
me
how
wear
big
it.
Was it
He'll let
big,
me borrow
small?
his sweaters
Yeah,
too.
yeah, we just like switch out.
Role play.
I have to see that picture. That sounds hilarious.
Let's talk about the mentality of your preparation, right? Because you come in the league, obviously you got vets and stuff, but in terms of how you watch film and what you do mentally to prepare yourself week in and week out, and also how offenses have evolved since you came into the league, particularly with a lot of these quarterbacks, you see they're multifaceted, they're dual threat. But just talk to me about what goes into your week of preparation, how you approach each and every week.
Yeah, so early in my career, I think I was I would say a little bit ahead of the curve a little bit because in college I watched a lot of film. Like I had I had a routine. So like, you know how the weeks are: Wednesday, first and second down; Thursday, third down; Friday, RedZone. So I kind of had that a little bit already in college. So that's kind of what I would do. Just watch whatever cut-ups the coaches made. But still, then when you're young, you don't really know what you're just kind of just watching. And so at the time, I would just watch for like, if you're playing certain guys, like if it was a good tight, let's say Travis Kelce, I'm just watching Travis Kelce, stuff like that. As I've gotten older now, I think I watch more for like the scheme. Like I want to know who's the coordinator. You know what I mean? Like, okay, who's the coordinator? Okay, now I kind of know how he wants to attack this defense based upon what we do. So I kind of just take it to that next level. So now I'm more anticipating, okay, these are probably the play calls they're going to run against us because we run this type of defense and stuff like that. So still routine as far as the days. I'm preparing for, the next day previously, the night before, watching those things. But now I'm more watching based upon scheme, the coaches, and obviously still studying the players, the personnel, and things like that. But I kind of have more of a bigger picture mentality now, just based upon the team that we could be playing or the coach, because that makes a huge difference.
Right.
Like studying for like a Kyle Shanahan, and I say this to this day, he's the toughest coordinator or coach that you can prepare for because his scheme changes week to week, and they also give you so many different looks, motions, shifts. And I truly believe this, that Kyle Shanahan knows what your rules are on defense. So if my rules is watching too, and if he does this, he's going to put you in conflict every single time. So you basically got to be perfect. And if you're not, there goes the ball over your head. So yeah, I'm kind of a big picture guy versus then just zoning in on this one guy, like a cornerback.
Right.
If it's Jalen Ramsey or whatever, maybe he's probably just going to watch this receiver because I'm covering him all game. I'm kind of watching for the big picture of everything. And as the weeks goes on or the days goes on throughout the week, then maybe I can watch some small stuff like, hey, I'm looking at this offensive line right here. His foot, if it's far back, it's probably pass. If it's more squared, it's run. So it just depends on week to week.
Is it formational alignment, and then how much of it is recognizing route combinations that you're like, okay, from this formation they like to do this, or their run scheme is going to be wide zone, they're going to run the counter off that, but it's formationally based? Is that how you're looking at a lot of these things?
Yeah, a lot of it is formation based, but throughout the week also you're going to have the coaches are going to have these different speeches and packages talking about, the top 3 runs is going to be this, top 3 passes, first and second down. First and down kind of is what it is. You kind of understand what personnel they like to use, how they like to use these guys. Like, for example, most teams are going to carry 2 or 3 tight ends to a game. One tight end isn't going to block. The other tight end is going to be a blocker. So if they got both of those guys separate, if they're going to run the ball, they're probably going to run to this guy. They're not going to run to him. Like for Travis Kelce, whatever, like they're going to give Travis Kelce out the way. They got another tight end. He's the blocker. So, yeah, I kind of understand that. Third down is when I'm really more focusing in on, okay, where are they putting this one guy? First of all, he's getting all the third down targets.
Right.
Let's find him every third down because more than likely the ball's going to him. So I kind of watch that. But then also a lot of scheme stuff. Like, for example, I had 2 interceptions this past year against the Raiders, Geno Smith. Early in the week, we knew on third downs, they love running these 12 to 15-yard end breakers, digs. But it was primarily to Jacoby Myers, number 16. And they were getting these bunch formations every time. And so we put in a specific defense. Basically, I was going to be kind of like the middle of the field robber type deal. Yep. So obviously, you get in the practice reps. So we get in the game, I see the formation, and I see 16s in there, and I'm literally the whole time, okay, I can trust that I got a guy backside that's going to protect me. If I see 16, as soon as he sticks his foot in the ground, I am gone. And I literally picked the ball. I literally almost overran the play. Like I had to spin around and catch the ball behind me because I had broke so fast. But it was just off of film study, understand. Then they ran the same thing like two drives after, and I caught another interception. But so I think just getting a little older now,
right?
Just being able to have the IQ, anticipating stuff a lot more versus than when you're young, you're just kind of, I'm just going to run full speed everywhere around the field and try to go hit somebody and knock somebody out. Now it's more, everything's more calculated versus than just, running around with, like a chicken with your head cut off.
You feel like most of your interceptions through your career have been pre-snap more so than during play? Like and you're going to be there, or has it been mostly instinctual, like during the play you make an adjustment?
It's a mix. I definitely say it's a mix of it, because even this past year I had a couple of those, 2 or 3 of those, but then I have some where I just showed incredible range and just ran and got the ball. Like a quarterback was scrambling, didn't see me backside, threw the ball because he thought he had his guy wide open. I was able to chase the ball down. So it's definitely a good mix. I think, obviously, when you play safety, tips, overthrows, you're going to make at least 2 of those. Yeah, got to get those. Got to get them.
Tips.
So you're going to get at least 2 or 3 of those a year.
You still got to catch it. Not all the safeties can catch it.
That is true, because most guys are going to drop to it. Most safeties will have like 3 or 4 interceptions every year if they didn't drop them all. Yeah. But yeah, so it's kind of a mix of both, I would say, for sure.
Is there, and both of you guys can answer this question, a few years ago, and I've done it almost every year since, I will hire someone to pick apart what I'm doing, like on my national radio show, like find my weaknesses. Like I'm going to pay you to come and find my weaknesses. When I was considered running for office, I hired 2 different people to go and investigate me. I had somebody that I hired that I told was me, and I hired somebody that didn't know it was me to see if they would present 2 different scenarios to me. So I try to beat myself so I can fix the holes. When you're talking about, you're breaking down tape, is there somebody in these staffs that are trying to beat their own team so they can report back what the other teams are doing? And if not, why not?
I think a lot of times you had the advanced scouting department, and they put together schematically, hey, this is this coordinator, this is what they like to do. So they really kind of set the platform or the foundation for what you're going to go into, and they start to give you an illustration, because from one week to the next, you got to concentrate just on that team, because every single week, especially if you're a game plan, defense, offense, you're trying to beat what they're doing. You can't just run the same fundamental plays. Now, you might have like a certain scheme defensively, offensively that works for against every type of defense.
Base packages and stuff.
Right, but every team has wrinkles, blitzes, overloads. Some are 3-4 defenses, which means three defensive linemen, 4 down, 4 linebackers. Some people are 4 down. So it's constantly evolving. You don't have enough time to jump ahead. But those guys in the advanced scouting department and some of the young staff members a lot of time are putting the pieces together as you're moving forward in the season.
Especially when you get to a bye week. Like a bye week, you do a lot of like self-scout, on yourself and try to change up. It's funny you say that because I think in the league, like, number one, you got enough people and so many people reporting on the game and like just whether if it's podcasts, you got news shows, radio, especially big on radio. Like when you were saying like you would hire somebody to kind of see what your weaknesses are to try to beat yourself, like you're going to have enough of that, trust me. Like, you know.
They're all going to tell you got weaknesses.
Yeah, like when you have a good game, they're going to let you know. When you have a bad game, they're going to let you know even more. So I think we all kind of, I mean, me, I'm a more realistic player. Like I know what my weaknesses are. And so I think as a great players, they do the best to not hide your weaknesses, but you stray more towards your strengths and you try to hide more your weaknesses. And that's what you work on in the offseason. But then also, too, you know, obviously first day of the week was probably Wednesday. That morning, like especially on defense, we would put out a whole personnel sheet and the defensive coordinator is going to go through a whole scout report on everybody. They're going to say the strength of their team is the offensive line. This left tackle, he's strong, he's fast, he may be a little light, so you can probably this receiver, he doesn't really have great hands, but he's fast. So you're going to kind of know the strengths and weaknesses of everybody. So based upon that, you know for a fact that they got a scout report on you as well. Now, I'm not the guy that really wants to know my scout report like that during the season because it's a lot of egos involved. You kind of want to feel good about yourself. You don't want to be hearing how trash you are. Or,
yeah, exactly.
You know, you're in year 10. You're getting a lot slower now, so you may need to do some sprints. But no, I think everybody has a true scouting report. And we all deal with it, especially going to the draft. I mean, everybody has a scouting report. This guy's probably not going to run good, or he's a tweener. Or for me, it was like, I don't know if this guy can tackle. This guy can tackle very well. I got almost 1,000 tackles now, so I think I tackle pretty okay. But
and I also think the best coordinators in our game recognize player strengths and weaknesses and put you in the best position to be successful. To not ask the good ones, because we've been around plenty that ask me to do something I probably shouldn't be doing. But at the same time, they are able to recognize your strengths and weaknesses and design an offensive system around that or a defensive system that fits what you do best and stick to that. And if they can do that consistently, then you're going to have more success, obviously, than asking you to go outside your comfort zone. And then as a player, the evaluation's ongoing throughout the year. You're getting instantaneous feedback. You literally go in, watch the game with the team, you watch the game in position groups, and then you get, hey, you sucked on this, your footwork was bad, boom, boom, boom. So it's a lot of times, I would say in the NFL more so, it's up to the player themselves. If there's certain footwork that you need to get better at throughout a season, because they're not really coaching fundamentals during the middle of the season. It's more scheme. That you've got to spend extra time on your own after practice or before practice, hone in on those skills, but you only have such a finite period of time to work on those, and that's why off-season is such a pivotal time for all of us.
Absolutely. I think if I'm a coach, I'm hiring a staff just to predict what the other staff is predicting about me. Like I'm going full. What's the movie, the Dream with DiCaprio?
Is that Inception?
Inception. I'm going full Inception on my coaching staff. There you go. Like, I want that coaching staff to predict what the other coaching staff is going to predict about us. So then I can stay. Anyway. That's
nowadays, everybody has like
AI, right?
They're hiring all the analytics and stuff now. Like before, I think it was like kind of a pushback. Like the old school coaches, like, I don't believe in analytics. Like, if it's fourth down, we're putting the ball no matter what. Like, but now, you see now, like, I mean, fourth down is basically just an extra down. I mean,
fourth and three, you go for it.
Fourth and three, everybody's going for it. You know what I mean? That's how Ben was.
How do you stay healthy? Like, you ain't missed a game since like 61. You and LeBeau were playing together.
Seriously?
No, man, I don't.
164 straight? Is that what it is now?
164 is crazy.
Do you know that number? Like, is that number that sticks out in your head?
164 consecutive games.
I will say in the back of my mind, though, now that I kind of have this streak going, like, you want to keep it going. So it's like, and it's not necessarily saying like, oh, please don't get hurt. But when you have certain nicks and bruises, like, I'm getting back out there. And I was always like that. But no, man, I don't. A lot of it is God. I've been blessed, knock on wood and all that stuff. But I think a lot of it is preparation, how I train in the off season. Certain guys have different ways how they train. Some dudes don't do anything until they report back in April. Some guys go almost 12 months. So I think for me, it's kind of how I phase out my training. I do a lot of running. And I think that's where I don't have any like soft tissue injury because I'm always running. I'm always conditioned. And then it's a lot of the recovery stuff throughout the season, throughout the off season as well, Pilates, just a bunch of different stuff that kind of, I think, aids me in my recovery and allowed me to continue to be able to play, at a high level. But like I said, a lot of it is just been, being blessed, you know what I mean? Like, Some people have freak injuries, right? If it's I had a guy, TJ Edwards, the linebacker, who was a routine linebacker play, took his drop, and somebody clipped him in the back of his leg and broke his leg. It was just like super random. It wasn't like nothing that he did. So I just been blessed in that aspect. So hopefully I can keep that streak going.
We talking about massage? Like, it's so many advancements has happened
it's a
in
lot
terms
now.
of recovery. Like, what's your go-to weekly routine in terms of recovery?
Yeah, how much money you spend on your body?
Yeah, are you Derrick Henry style? Like,
I don't know. I
$1 million?
don't think so. Derek spends a lot of money on his body, but I'm up there though. I will say I'm up there. So when I was younger, it would just literally just be massages. I hated cold. I never did cold tubs. I probably didn't start doing my first cold tub in the league till like year 5, year 6. It was
No
weird.
way. Seriously?
Listen, I could not get in that cold tub. I was the B word. I was scared. But no, so now it's like in Chicago, they had a great facility. Like they had so much stuff. So I actually added more. So like, for example, on the, let's say games Sunday, I'm a big massage on Monday. I used to be a Tuesday because our off day, but I've noticed that I'm like a second day soreness guy. So I'm a lot
That's
more
because the Toradol wore off.
Well, I'm not even a Toradol guy, which is funny. But it's weird because most guys would tell you in the league that they're more sore 2 days after a game versus the day after, because maybe it's still adrenaline, vitamin T, if you're on the vitamin T or whatever, painkillers. So I get my recovery immediately on Monday. So Monday, I go to the facility. I'm a red light guy. So I got into the red light therapy. 15 minutes in the red light therapy. I had the panels. We didn't have like the tanning bed in Chicago.
We got the bed at the house. You got one?
I was literally just on Google, just researching something. I actually want to buy one.
House.
Yeah, we're like 7 houses away.
As long as you don't charge me, I go in there and use
it's
it.
free.
Might have to babysit a little bit.
Any friend of Castle's, get my kid into school. You got school in a few years. Well,
There you
you
go.
can use it all you want.
100%. So I do a red light first thing in the morning, leave the red light, get in the hot tub about another 10 minutes to warm up. So then I'm doing the water treadmill.
Oh, yeah.
So I do just like, not sprints, but like, high knees, different stuff like that to kind of flush the body in the treadmill. And then obviously if I have anything like that was injured during the game, then I'm in the training room getting treatment on that. So then after that, I'm not, depending on if we had a victory Monday or not, obviously you got to do the workout on a Monday. So do a workout on Monday. After the workout, big sauna, cold plunge guy. So my deal is I'll do 15 minutes in the sauna, 4 minutes in the cold. I'm like all the way down to almost chest down. And I'll probably do 2 rounds of that. If I'm feeling really good, or if we had a really good game and I had some pretty good food, after the game, then I'm probably doing 3 rounds if I need to.
This is like a 10-year-old question, but is it still fun on game day?
That's the funnest part about football. I would say, as you get older, the hardest part is the process. I think that's where guys start to have those thoughts and those talks like, how long I still want to do this. You know what I mean? It's the training camps, even the off-season program, the early off-season, the spring. Like, even, I'm going through with my family now, like having to, go up in New England in April and have to fly back and forth. Like, that's where it becomes tougher and tougher, especially you have families and children. The training camp, the soreness, the 2-day soreness, because it's not just physical, but it's mental too. Like, I'm a big routine guy. No, Matt. People that play in the league, they're so routine based and they're so used to that. But it takes a lot of mental strain to be able to have all these appointments and practitioners all lined up and doing the same thing over and over again. It becomes tougher and it's harder as you age because it's like, man, like, especially, you make some dollars, you know what I mean? Like, you kind of get complacent a little bit. For me, and I always tell guys, like, you had to have a purpose bigger than just, I want to just be rich. And once you're rich, it's like, okay, what's next? Like, your purpose had to be bigger. It has to be a legacy. You want to go to the Hall of Fame. You want to create generation, whatever it may be. It has to be something bigger because as you get older, it gets tougher and tougher. But game days, everybody loves game days. Because, you tell the coaches leave you alone a little bit more on game day. You kind of just focus on yourself. You get your little tunnel walks, get your drip going. You know what I mean? You just feel good. The fans, like, that's the most, like I said, in Chicago this past year was incredible. Those fans, they sell out every game.
Yeah.
Like, they sell out every game. Like, those playoff games, that one against the Rams that we played, the one we lost, that was one of the most incredible experiences I've had.
Crazy.
We beat Green Bay in the playoffs.
Yeah.
DJ Moore got a walk-off touchdown.
That was
insane. Yeah. It was a movie. Yeah. Like, legit. I remember the ball going up in the air. Like, I was sitting on the bench. It was like slow motion. Like, you stood up, like, just watched the ball and he caught it. It was insane. So,
Caleb's running backward.
That
was the Rams. Yeah, it was incredible.
Ridiculous throw.
So like those type of things will never get old. The locker room never gets old. It's just all the stuff in between.
It is difficult to stay motivated the older you get, just because, like you said, you've got life going on. You got
100%.
kids. You're doing all these things, and that's the fight, is the complacency, right? Of how do I get my mind right to know that I'm about to leave my family behind, go here, be separated from them for a little while, but you got all the other stuff. What's it like at this juncture in your career, right? You're going into year, 11?
11, yeah.
Going into year 11, but you're also a new guy on the team, right? How do you build relationships in that locker room, and how quickly do you get adapted to it? And obviously you come in with a reputation, right? And you've been playing for a long time, a guy that is a tremendous leader, been a captain on a lot of teams that you've played on. But what's that like going into a new locker room and kind of adapting to that new environment?
No, it's different. I've done it the past, obviously I got traded 2023 to Philly, so I was in a new locker room then, and obviously going to Chicago. It's another experience for me. I think the good thing about this experience is that I have a lot of familiarity in the building. My old safety coach in Tennessee, he's the secondary coach there in New England, so obviously knowing Braves. The team chaplain that was in Tennessee, he's there. So I got a lot of mentors. I got a lot of people in that building. But for the locker room, I think for me, it's easy, you know what I mean? Because obviously, even though I'm Unc, you know what I mean? I'm still one of the guys. I'm still playing at a high level. And then, like you said, coming in with that credibility already, I think I'm easily going to be able to connect with the team. So I don't necessarily look at that as a big deal. But like you said, as you get older, I don't know if I'm going to continue to want to do this, keep going to new places, dealing with the politics of the NFL and stuff like that. So for me, I hope and pray that obviously, this stop in New England is the one where I get the Super Bowl. And then, obviously we'll see. I've said this last year, past couple years in Chicago, but every year for me at this point is a year-to-year league. It's a year to year. I put everything as possible preparation into this 1 year, and then we'll see what happens at the end of the season. But I think the familiarity with Braves and everybody up there is going to make this transition a lot easier than the previous couple of years.
You guys got some dogs back there in that defensive back room.
We do.
Between Christian Gonzalez, Jonathan Jones.
I'm excited.
I mean, you guys going to have a great group.
Final question. You're here in Nashville. This is home now, right?
Yeah.
Same with Castle. Like, neither one of you guys actually grew up here. You did play college here. It's got to be hard to live like during season in Chicago or Philly for a year when you got traded, or now New England. But why here in Nashville as home? And then how hard is it to be gone? Does your family go up with you a lot? Like, what's that like?
Yeah. So the past couple of years in Chicago, the family has moved up. So we'll do half and half. So obviously, our kids' school has been gracious enough, where they allow us to, hey, you go up to Chicago for half the year, but then second semester they come back. But it gets tougher and tougher. I will say that, especially as the kids get a little older. It's different when they're in just the preschool and stuff like that. It's like, hey, we'll just pick up. Just
not pulling up from friends. Now you.
It's just you kind of like it's glorified daycare in a way, but they just learn the ABCs a little bit more.
How to go to the restroom without help.
Exactly. But as my daughter's 6 now, my son's 5, and I have a 2-year-old as well. So as they kind of get really get into their friend groups and the sports and stuff like that, it gets tougher. We're probably going to do the same thing this year in New England. But the logistics of it, you know what I mean? So, for example, in Chicago, we were just renting. So we rented a house. Luckily, the guy we rent from, the house came fully furnished. So we didn't have to buy any new furniture. Yes, it was fully furnished. So that part was a little bit easier. But, you get into the season, and then, my wife, she has stuff going on here, and we got to pick up and move everything up there. It's tough. And it's funny because I was having this talk with my guy DeMario Davis just the other day, because he's, he has a big family as well. He kind of do the same thing. And we were just talking like how, the way we talk about it is like it's nothing. We were so used to this lifestyle, but when, you talk to other people, it's like, bro, how do you deal with that? It seems so tough. And it is tough, but, I guess we make the hard look easy or whatever. But yeah, just the moving parts of it is tougher. And so, for example, the first time I ever had, I got traded to Philadelphia, and I've told this story before, but my wife we had literally just had our son. He was born very premature. He was born at 5.5 months. He was literally just born. So we just played a game in Indianapolis. We lost to Indianapolis. Remember, got home from on the flight. This was still like Sunday night, because it's a whole story. I don't know if we got enough time to get into it, but he was born that night. She had emergency C-section, and he has spent how many months? He's basically this was October. He was in the NICU till February.
Wow.
So I spent so after he was born, a week later, well, a couple of days later, actually, we had a London game. So I left. He was born 2-3 days later. We had to go to London for basically 2 or 3 days. Lost to Baltimore. Next week, I'm traded to Philadelphia. So my son's in the NICU. We're dealing all this stuff with my son, and I'm up in Philadelphia by myself, basically. Miserable. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I want to be home with my family. You know, I'm talking to Sarah, and he was like, man, if you want to fly home after a game and be there till Wednesday, like, I'm completely fine with that. It was so tough. So, like, dealing with all that stuff, that, you know, that's kind of like the unspoken part of football, because, you know, football world, people that cover the game, they don't really know that stuff. They just care about, hey, are you producing or not? But just that part of just having to move around, it becomes tougher. So, yeah, it's not easy.
That's the part that people don't see, right?
It's a lot of stuff, yeah.
I remember that situation coming up. But, I mean, you're trying to be the father and all these things, but also the provider. And you know that this is your job and it's an opportunity. But at the same time, there's 2 different hats that you constantly are wearing that everybody else doesn't see. That is, everybody as a fan just sees this performance-based individual. Absolutely. And it's whether you have success or not, but they don't realize any of the stuff on the background that's going on. That's real life stuff that players deal with.
We really appreciate you coming by, man. It's been awesome.
No, absolutely, man. Thank you.
Kevin's
guys,
one of the special people you'll meet. He's incredible in every way. So
I appreciate
in every way.
Well, I
try to be.
I haven't, you know.
Every way is a little bit over-aggressive, for sure.
There may be some ghosts or skeletons in the closet.
Yeah.
When do you go up? Like, when do you go up now?
So we report on the 20th of April. So
coming up.
Yeah.
Like 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
Did
But
they
I'll be
push that
back on the
because of
weekends.
Super Bowl?
No, I think that's majority
That's
of
majority of
most
it?
teams. Yeah, because some teams started this week. No, the guys that got new head coaches,
Right.
They started either yesterday or today. So yeah, I mean, like you said, as you get older, that date comes faster and faster. It's like, man, off season just started.
We appreciate you. Hope you have a great season. Yeah, there he is, the great Kevin Byard.
Thank you.